Hello, you are most welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Real Impartation Moment on Tuesday Night Anatomy with Daniel Okwan. Today's section, we continue our journey on muscles of, the arm region. This time around, looking at that of the posterior compartment of the arm. And that one, there's a single muscle which we call the triceps brachii muscle. But some books will add Ankonios to it. So I also talk about the Ankonios. And these muscles, yes, the posterior compartment, that's the extensor compartment of the arm. And so without much ado, let's set the ball rolling. So in the posterior compartment, there's a single muscle, and that is what we call the triceps brachii muscle. So triceps means having three heads, and for that matter, three origins. And these three origins, yes, I told you that there's going to be the scapula, and the scapula, we are going to have a glenoid cavity, okay, at its lateral border, and just below the glenoid cavity there is going to be what we call infraglenoid tubercle. So taking origin from what we call infraglenoid tubercle is what we call the long head. I told that infraglenoid tubercle will provide origin point for only long heads of muscles. So infraglenoid tubercle provide origin for the long head of triceps brachii muscle. Now, one thing that you have to know is that, yes, apart from this, now, the remaining other hairs, yes, what happens is that you need to just know what we call the spiral groove. And I will show you the spiral groove in our next section, the next slide. Now, the spiral groove, we are going to help divide, this area of the posterior aspect of the humerus into two areas. Those areas which is above the spiral groove, and above the spiral groove will take origin, that will be what we call the lateral head. Okay, because above over there, that one will be in relation to where we have the posterior the greater tubercle of the humerus. And the greater tubercle of humerus is laterally placed. And therefore, the lateral head, yes, will be in line with, of course, that will be above the, the spiral groove or the radial groove. And then below the spiral groove, entirely everywhere, which is often overshadowed by, of course, the belly of what you call the long head of triceps brachii muscle, will be the medial head. So usually when I take away the medial long head, I'll be able to see the medial head proper. Okay, so that's the medial head of triceps brachii muscle. By the end of the day, they will form a single tendon which will insert at what we call the posterior aspect of the olecranon process of what we call the ulna. And because of where it's inserting, upon contraction of this muscle, yes, it will produce that kind of extension at the elbow joint. The extension at the elbow joint. Now, this muscle, because the muscle of the posterior compartment of the arm is supplied by, of course, the radial nerve, and that is why radial nerve will have to go through it, because we are saying that the long head is supplied in, of course, the axilla by the radial nerve, alongside the medial head of what we call triceps brachii muscle. Then in the spiral groove, which I'm going to show you, yes, it's going to supply, the radial nerve will supply the lateral head together with the medial head again. So one thing that I have to know is that the medial head is the largest head, followed by the long head, and then of course the lateral head being the smallest head. And because the medial head is the largest head, it is supplied by radial nerve twice, one in the axilla and one in the spiral groove, And so that is the triceps, brachii muscle working antagonistically to, of course, the bicep brachii muscle, and of course the brachialis muscle, helping in what we call extension at the elbow joint. So there we are in real time section. What we are seeing is that, yes, we can see now over here, we can see this. We are seeing what we call the quadrangular space. The quadrangular space, we are having what we call the axillary nerve. That one is going to supply the deltoid muscle. Yes, over there, no problem. As well as for the teres minor muscle. But I'm interested, okay, in showing that the posterior compartment, we are going to have the triceps brachii muscle. And triceps brachii muscle, yes, we are going to have the long head. Now, I told that long head is having origin from what we call the scapula, actually from what we call infraglenoid tubercle. That is what we call the long head of triceps brachii muscle. Now, I told you that frequently the long head, the belly of the long head overshadows what we call the medial head of triceps brachii muscle. And so usually when I reflect or when I cut the long head out, I'm going to find deep to it, I'm going to have what we call the medial head, which is the largest head of the triceps brachii muscle. I told that medial head will be taking origin from below the spiral groove. Now I told the spiral groove, yes, the content will be the radial nerve, and that's why we are calling it, they're also calling it radial groove. Then apart from that, there's also going to be the profound brachii artery, that's the deep artery of the arm, will also be a content of the spiral groove. And so above the spiral groove, we are going to have what we call the lateral head of triceps brachii muscle, and then of course below the spiral groove will be the medial head, and then taking origin from, of course, the infragluteal tubercle will be, of course, the long head of triceps brachii muscle. At the end of the day, combined to form a single tendon to insert at the posterior aspect of the olecranon process. And thus I told you that yes, the long head as well as the medial head will be supplied in the axilla by, of course, the radial nerve. Then again, the medial head will be supplied again in the radial groove, as well as alongside the lateral head of triceps brachii muscle. Okay, so that is one thing that you have to know. That's the triceps brachii muscle. But some books want to add Ankonios to it, and Ankonios is taking origin from what we call the posterior aspect of lateral epicondyle onto what we call the posterior aspect of what we call the olecranon. Now, the reason why they are adding it to it is that yes, that one is also going to help produce some kind of extension at the elbow joint. But that one is not a muscle of the posterior compartment of the arm. It's actually a muscle of the posterior compartment of the forearm. But in this regard, I'm going to talk about it here. So yes, when I get to the posterior compartment of the forearm, I won't talk about it again. So this is what we call Ankonios. Ankonios, because of its origin, yes, upon contraction, it's able to cause extension at what we call the elbow joint. That one, likewise, is supplied by, of course, the radial nerve. So these are muscles that I call the posterior compartment of the arm. The only muscle is, of course, the triceps brachii muscle. But sometimes we add Ankonios to it because of its function that it is playing. I hope you find it helpful. May God richly bless you.